Yeah, just a minute.
Every day and every hour, I've been thinking about you. Only you, only you. Yeah, only thinking one deep. It's when we are swimming. It's when we are. Oh, yeah. Yes, I was a kiss. Oh, yeah.
Aniti, all of you here, you can talk right, Aniti. That's the problem. I mean, I don't talk right, I'm well spoken. Aniti, in a man, Pumagu school people, good school outing, they need this around school outing. With us, it was an excursion. And when you guys came back from your school trip or outing, all you someone, now why the good daily signing says about 100 school children died in the past accident? When we came back from our excursion, what we sang was, thank you, Mr. Bus Driver, bus driver, bus driver. Thank you, Mr. Bus Driver, for the great drive. That was us. And if you guys don't understand, I'll break it down even further. I need to know that business. No. 2 little birds. That was us. But Kapina 2 little birds. Everyone can sing, but the pronunciation will tell you what kind of a school you went to. Most of the 2 little. It's not little, it's little. The best.
Tshwane FM 93.
So to identify as mentally retarded, I went back from the 5th grade into the 4th grade and stayed in that category until I got out of high school. I don't have any college training, but I met a high school teacher who one day changed my life. I was waiting on another student, and when he came in, he said to me, young man, go to the board and write what I'm about to tell you. And I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, why not? I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, it doesn't matter. Follow my directions now. I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, why not? I said, because I'm educable mentally retarded. And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, don't ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And as he talked, my heart began to beat fast. Tears began to run down my eyes, and I was in the back just listening to him, because the speech he was giving, that speech was for me. And he said, Les Brown, he said, if you want to do anything worthwhile in life, you've got to be hungry. I told Mr. Washington I wanted to become a disc jockey. And so I started working to develop myself. He said, I want you to practice every day being a disc jockey. I said, but I don't have any job now. He said, it doesn't matter. He said that it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. And as I was working to develop myself, I applied for a job as a disc jockey, WMB in Miami Beach. I went to a guy named Milton Butterball. I said, how you doing, Mr. Butterball? I'd like to get a job as a disc jockey. He looked at me, he said, do you have any broadcast background? I said, no, sir, I don't. Do you have any journalism background? I said, no, sir, I don't. He said, we don't have any jobs available. I said, yes, sir. I went back to Mr. Washington and I told him. He said, don't take it personally. He said, most people are so negative, they will have to say no 7 times before they say yes. He said, go back again. So I went back again. I said, how you doing, Mr. Butterball? My name is Les Brown. He said, I know what your name is. What do you want? I said, I'd like to know whether or not you have any jobs as a disc jockey, sir. He said, didn't I just tell you yesterday we didn't have any jobs? I said, yes, sir, but I know whether or not somebody got laid off or somebody was fired, sir. He said, no one was laid off or fired. Now get on out of here. I came back the next day like I'll see you for the first time. I said, hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you? He looked at me with rage. He said, go get me some coffee. I said, yes, sir. And I went to get him some coffee. After a while, I would get their lunch and dinner, and I would go in the control rooms and take the disc jockeys their food, and I would not leave until they would ask me to leave. One Saturday afternoon, while I was at the radio station, a guy named Rock was drinking while he was on the air. I was the only one there, looking at him through the control room windows, walking back and forth, young, ready, and hungry. Pretty soon the phone rang and it was the general manager. And I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, Les, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish his program. I said, I know. He said, would you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I hung the phone up. I said, now he must be thinking I'm crazy. I called my mom and my girlfriend, Cassandra. I said, y'all turn up the radio and come out on the front porch. I'm about to come on the air. I waited for about 20 minutes. And I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, do you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and don't say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get behind those controls. I put on an old Stevie Wonder record called Fingertips. I sat down behind that turntable. I said, look out, this is me, LB, Triple P. Let's down your platter playing proper. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single, love to mingle, certified, bona fide, and duly qualified to bring you satisfaction, a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry.
This man.
I was hungry. You gotta be hungry. Begin to know that you have greatness within you.
Sure.
And if just one of you here begin to envision yourselves as being blessed and highly favored to reach your goals, if just one of you capture the essence of what that means, that you have greatness within you and a responsibility to manifest that greatness, that you can make your parents proud, you can make your school proud, you can touch millions of people's lives, and the world will never be the same again because you came this way. It was hard, ladies and gentlemen, coming to speak to people. And I was facing financial difficulties in my own life. I was behind on my bills and my dreams, and I'm saying to them, you can live your dream. It was hard, ladies and gentlemen. It was very difficult to pick myself up each day believing that I can do it. There were times that I doubted myself. I used to ask myself, can I do this? And something said within me, you're the one. Don't give up on your dream.
Sure.
By continuing to push forward, by continuing to run toward my dream, and one day I would have my own talk show. It's a long shot, ladies and gentlemen, from Liberty City, an abandoned building on a floor, never knowing my mother or father. It's a long shot. Being here with you today in this dome in Atlanta, it's a long shot. No college training, labeled educable, mentally retarded, but I kept running toward my dream. Don't stop. Don't stop running toward your dream.
It's 50 minutes after the hour, 6 o'clock. It's a great evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us. We are coming through to you live on Tshwane FM 93.6. We are the station that continues to rock your most. My name is Mokete Radebe. I am your news pioneer, and driving this ship all the way till the hour 8 p.m. with you. And thank you so much once more for making time to lend us your ears tonight. And we are going to be looking at a number of things, man, in the socio-economic space with just so much that is happening in South Africa. We're coming through to you live on Facebook. It is Tshwane Space FM Space 93.6. Go on YouTube, man. Check for Mokete Radebe. We are coming through to you live there. And I'm not going solo. I'm with Tony T. Others who know me call me Tibos. Tabo T. Yeah. No, people actually get to call me Tabo. But very interesting. I think an amazing, a piece of motivation from, the one and only, that is Mr. Les Brown. Before we start today's program, I actually thought about it, and I said, we come on air every day. We go to our work, and we appear professional. We appear, as people that have got it all together.
Yes.
But deep down, all of us have got a weakness.
Yes.
We've got something that we're battling with. We've got some challenge.
We all have our different battles.
We all have our own different battles, but what is detrimental is that there's a lot of people that look at the work we do, that look at what we have materially, that look at us and think these guys are having it easy, and when I listen to people like Les Brown, I'm reminded of my background.
Yes.
Just earlier when I had a conversation with a friend of mine, so they're expecting a child, and he was saying to me, you hardly talk about having a child, and you've been married for some time. And I said to him, it's not that I don't want children, but when I think about how I grew up, constantly it gets to me to say, I want my child's childhood to be so perfect that, when I look at my child, I can heal, and sometimes in some of these things, you don't know that your childhood was rough up until you get to be an adult, and you look at other children telling you that, oh, I had my own bedroom. Oh, I had my own bed, and I'm thinking, hey, wait, now. I had to wait for everyone else to go and sleep because, where they were watching TV, that's where I had to, sleep, and I thought that was nice. I mean, if I think of my cousins when we visit and we all slept on the floor, so much so that no one wanted to go and sleep on the bed, but all those little things, and often at times we fail to take an opportunity to say to other people that are listening to us, to say it is not the end of the world.
Exactly.
It is you're not the only one that is going through this. We're not perfect either.
Yes.
Quite frankly, maybe find that our mistakes are even far much detrimental as opposed to yours, and that's just how it is,
Yes.
And I was actually I posted something on my social media today, and I say each day is a new beginning to the rest of our life. Each day we're able to change and make new decisions and live how we choose to. Yesterday is definitely over. It happened. We need to learn from it. We need to use it to make better decisions today. Today is a new day. It's a fresh start. It's a chance to begin again and live a life with intention rather than reaction. How do we want to live our life? What we want to do. Every day we have that chance. We have the chance to show up and to really connect and choose how we really want to live our lives with the energy that we have that has been given to us on each and every day. All we need to do is use it. And as we start today, we just want to say to the broken hearts, to anyone that is, feeling less motivated, to anyone that is going through difficult moments, we're saying you're not the only one. And definitely today is going to be a jam-packed show. Short and Sharp will be looking at, various ways when it comes to property. And what we're looking at is the four major banks in terms of the loan value guidelines if one is to purchase a house. And also in the legal minds, with Refilo, we'll be checking out the ineffective and expired South Africa vaccine, and also taking a look at the Please Call Me court case. You remember that there's that court case coming through. So we'll be jumping into that story on 0123249936. That is 0123249936. That's where you can engage with us. But most importantly, do check us out. We're coming through to you live on YouTube and Facebook. We're not as bad. Tony's on his jacklots, and your pioneer is just smiling here with spectacles. Thank you so much for your listening pleasure once more. 55 after 6 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6. It's exactly where you are. Just checking on Twitter. It appears though that Unati is trending, Nefsas is trending, and there's one interesting tweet that I jumped into, and this one is from Lebogang Lebakeng, and Lebogang says it peaks. She says sex drive. Yabasadi after 30 got a problem. But basically what she's saying is that it seems as though that the sex drive for women over 30 becomes a problem. And she's saying just under her tweet, just on the thread, she says Ben 10s under this tweet are really there, I really check it. But yeah, man, that's exactly what is happening in terms of NSFAS. There's just been a lot of questions in universities regarding that, and of course Unati as well is trending, and I think it's she's back on Kaya FM, or rather she's with Kaya FM at this point in time. In news that are making headlines, and it appears as though that Home Affairs Minister Mzala will be briefing ministers in the Justice Crime Prevention. We'll be looking at that story, and also the Nigerian who's said to be behind the abduction of school children also is surrounded, and we'll be speaking about that as well. And also it appears as though that the vaccine in South Africa can still prevent severe diseases. We'll be looking at that story as well. 5-7 after 6 o'clock. Tshwane is where we are at this point in time. Trinity, let's look at in terms of property. The four major banks, the guidelines in terms of the loan value.
Yes. So first, I just want to greet everyone, and I'd like to say I hope everyone is well, and everyone who's going through a lot, just know that God brought you to this day, and since He brought you to this day, it didn't just happen for a reason.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a definite reason why He brought you to this day.
Sure.
And definitely, reason I forget going one way.
Yeah.
Which only you can see.
Correct.
But then if you keep on being consistent in whatever you do, definitely you'll get this over right.
Dr. Miles Monroe, the late, says in absence of purpose, abuse becomes inevitable. He says it is better to die. It is better to not live and die rather than living life, eating food, having energy, and not know why you're living.
Exactly.
He says that is the greatest tragedy, living a life without a purpose. But let's jump into property matters, my brother.
Yes.
I think it's a big issue. We always advise a lot of people to buy property, but there's not enough information in terms of what are the expectations. What is it that these banks are looking for, to be specific?
Yes. So the past few weeks I've been talking about, that one of our banking system in South Africa is actually so powerful that it allows our customers, or South Africans, to actually get 100% loan from the bank. But then now, other countries, you tend to find that it's not really like that.
Yeah.
But 80%, 20% deposit is definitely needed.
Sure.
Fortunately, in South Africa, there are times where you don't really have to worry about that deposit.
Yeah.
Right? So I just got this article from one of our bond originators, which is called Uber Home Loans.
Sure.
So they got this report, and it was sent on the 8th of...
So the Uber Home Loans is something new, I believe.
It's actually a bond originator.
Oh, okay. All right.
Bond origination. What they do is basically help clients. They go on their behalf to all the banks to see how much they can qualify for.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So now, firstly, I just want to talk about vacant land. So the four major banks that we're talking about is Absa, Standard Bank, Nedbank, and FNB. So let's say you were to purchase vacant land. So what's going to happen is that with Absa, they can only give you 60%. That means 40% of the purchase price has to be deposited.
Sure. Why is it that done on vacant land?
I really wouldn't be sure. I think also they wouldn't really know the complete value of what you really want to do with the property. I think once they understand, or if let's say there's an actual structure, they can actually predict, or okay, maybe the structure, this is how much it can bring in, this is how much it can,
I hear
yeah,
you. I hear
in
you.
that sense. And then now with Standard Bank, it's between 60%, the maximum is 80%.
Sure.
That's Standard Bank. And then when it comes to Nedbank, the maximum they can give you is 70%, the maximum. So meaning 30% will be bound before deposit. And then coming to FNB. So FNB, there's a number of categories. So if it's someone who has a salary and works with the FNB as the main bank, what happens is that if the purchase price is up to 1.5, they'll give you 60%, the maximum of 60%. And then if your purchase price is below 1.5, the maximum they can give you is 50%.
Sure.
Yeah.
I wonder why is that?
That's just for vacant land. I'm actually suggesting that next week I should just bring in the bond originator and Uber Home Loans who can maybe briefly explain to us why these banks would give out these different percentages.
Particularly because there's been a lot of conversations around how banks, especially these big major banks, in terms of how they discriminate against, particularly black people, where you find that if you qualify, you won't be given credit, or you'll be given credit with a higher interest. And I remember that story was actually running through, but not much was done to actually hold people accountable, but also to really, unbungle in terms of why exactly is this happening, but more so as well, why is it that such a thing is still persisting in our space?
You know what I would think? This is just my opinion. But I think it has to also do with they look at what you as a person have. I know that might be a division that's kind of wrong, but then imagine now, whereby a team wants to buy this property. Obviously, if they say who will be your surety, not really everyone is, as financially.
But isn't that unfair?
No, but then look at it this way, as surety. Pelukumbuli Bank treated like a friend, but then I need surety with this way. So since when you don't really pre-qualify, then you be like, no, yes, so I've got a friend, or I've got a family member on a Mali or I've got a house that was actually gifted to me, which is worth so much.
In black communities, is there someone that could gift you a house, man?
That's what I'm trying to say.
I hear you. I hear. 2 minutes have gone since the hour 7 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6 is exactly where we are. Check us on Instagram. It is Tshwane FM _official. And have a lovely conversation with us. Talk to us, man. Would love to hear from you. We are coming through to you live on YouTube as well, where we are having this lovely conversation with Tony T. On the flip side of this, as you proceed, Tony T, in terms of also now, what does this, we're still on vacant land, right?
Yeah. But now I'm going to go into residential property.
Okay. Before you jump into residential property, is it a one size fits all in terms of how they look at the vacant land, or is it based on what exactly you're going to build? If, for instance, I want to do farming there, that's a business, a transaction, and if it's for residential purposes, when maybe for my family, it becomes more personal more than anything else. But if it's also for residential property, for instance, if I want to build an estate, for instance, it becomes a business transaction. Yes. Do they look at it in terms of a one-size-fits-all type of situation, and from the information that you have, or they look at the case and just tackle the merits of the case?
What I think it's different from case to case. Because basically the property price, how they got to the value, there's a way they should have got. There's a way.
Yeah, correct.
It could either be it's a commercial space and it imali 80s. So normally what would happen is that chances are I think the bank would send someone and say, okay, sharp, this client wants to offer 1 million rand for this vacant land.
Sure.
The bank will send its valuator to see if that land is actually worth that much that the client is willing to offer. So I think that's how it is determined, and not necessarily every client is being put under one.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
4/7, Tshwane FM 93.6. The Capital Talk is exactly where you are, and we are in property matters at this point in time. If you are in the space of buying property or trying to get a loan from the bank, man, to perhaps build property, buy land, whatever the case may be, you are actually tuning in the right show. We have information for you. Tony, come through. In terms of residential space, then what happens in that regard?
So now in residential space, I'll first talk about ABSA, because now there's different categories.
Sure.
The first category is people who are with ABSA and people who are new to the bank, who are full-time employed. So what happens is that if the purchase price is below 5 million rand, the maximum they can possibly give you is 100% bond.
Sure.
So that's when now deposit, if your credibility, affordability, 90, that's when they can actually offer you 100%. You don't really have to worry about the deposit, right? And then if it's below 5 million rand, they can maximally give you 90%, depending on risk account.
True.
Yeah. And then when it comes to now ABSA clients, people who are not fully full-time employed. So if the purchase price is below 2 million rand, the maximum they can give you is 90%. And then if the property is...
And this is if I'm a business person, not a fully employed person, right?
Well, here, the different sections is non-full-time employed, and there's ABSA customers, which are legal entities.
Oh, I hear you.
And then there's also people that are new to the bank. Yeah, so that's how it is.
Sure.
So back to ABSA non-full-time employed.
Yeah.
So if you're purchasing a property that is above 2 million rand and below 3 million rand, the maximum they can give you is 85%.
Amazing.
Yes, and then if the purchase price is above 3 million rand, the maximum is 80% that they will give you, meaning that 20%. So in essence, just if you are a person who's not fully employed from ABSA and banks with ABSA, so if you're to buy a property that is above 3 million rand, the maximum they can give you is 80%. So now, before telling the property, we budget to okay, at least 20% of that purchase price.
How much is 20% of 3 million? Yeah, no. Amazing. We're speaking about real money here, man. We're gonna get to that point where when they say the property is 3 million and saying
and then now
I'll give you the cash tomorrow. That's the life that we should invest in.
7 business days, that's when the money will reflect.
In your account. Yeah. No interest whatsoever. Proceed, please.
Okay, so now let me talk about entities. So if there's a legal entities or there's more than 2 applicants. So let's say you and I were to buy this property. We get pre-qualified by ABSA. So if the property is below 2 million rand, the maximum they can give us is 80%, sorry. And then if the purchase price is above 2 million rand and below 3 million, between that million difference, the maximum is also 80%. And then if the purchase price is below 3 million rand, the maximum they can give you 75%.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then now I want to move on to Standard Bank. So Standard Bank, so if you're a client from Standard Bank and also you're someone who doesn't bank with Standard Bank, if the property is below 5 million rand, they can possibly give you 100%.
Oh.
If the property is below, is above 5 million rand, the maximum they can give you is 80%. Yeah. So if it's below 5 million rand, up to 100%.
Yeah.
And then if it's above, 80%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sort of kind of better than ABSA this side, you know.
Who buy a house that is over 5 million? I'm just thinking.
Well, people that...
I mean, I'm thinking the repayment per month. How much will it be? 50K. No, it cannot be.
I can just double check it quickly, just a few seconds. So 3 million rand, right?
Yeah, for 100,000, for 1 million is around 10,000.
So let's say there's no deposit, right?
Yeah, there's no deposit.
So the bond repayment will actually be 23,258. But then this is on a period of 20 years.
For 5 million?
No, for 3 million.
For 3 million.
Yes.
Because for 1 million it should be around 10,000.
Okay.
For 2 million is around you're using 7% interest.
Yeah, 7%. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but when prime was still 10%, it was around 10,000 for 1 million, 20,000 for 2 million, and 30,000 for 3 million.
Yes.
Okay, so with now the new prime, which is 7%, we're looking at around 23,000. That is
23,000.
not bad. It's actually doable nowadays. For 5 million, how much for 5 million? Let's see. Let's be realistic here. We want people to go and buy a property. Stop buying cars and stop buying expensive clothes, man. Go and buy property.
Something that appreciates in value.
Exactly. Yeah, but someone was saying that stop telling people to go and buy a property. You'll never be able to overtake on the N4 with a dining, with your 4-room or whatever.
You know what I'll do? Yeah. I'll buy those 4 or 5 properties. Once I get the passive income, that money will be the one that buys the supercar that you can buy with your salary.
I hear you. Calculate the 5 million for me. Stop speaking sense here. I think we're looking at
so now we're at
46 million, 46,000, right?
46,000 for what now?
For 5 million. For 5 million, it should be around 46,000.
Okay, let me just double check. With 7%.
With 7%, yeah.
So it's actually 38,760.
Oh, I was thinking for 3. Okay, I know you're correct. It should be 38. I'm going too far. 10 minutes after 7 o'clock. Tshwane FM 93.6. You were still on Standard Bank, right?
Yeah, so Standard Bank, that's the only information I have with residential property.
I hear you.
So now when it comes to NetBank, so if you're a NetBank client and also not a NetBank client, what happens is that if you buy a property which is below 3.5 million rand, the maximum they can possibly give you is 100%.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
And then if the purchase price is above 3.5, then lower than 100%. They can't give you the full 100%, but lower than 100%.
I hear you.
And then if you it says here self-employed applications where the applicant is not an existing NetBank customer will not be considered.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's bad. But yeah, it makes sense. So you've touched on all the banks, I believe, now?
Yes, it's just FNB. That's
FNB,
yes.
Yeah.
So now with the FNB, if you're an FNB client and a non-FNB client who's employed, so if the purchase price is below 2.5, the maximum you can get is 100%. And then if the purchase price is above 2.5 and below 3.5, the maximum is 95%.
Sure.
And then the last one is if the purchase price is above 3.5 and below 7.5, the maximum is 90%. And then if you're a self-employed customer, Lana ET lending is limited to a maximum of 80% or less with current risk profile and risk appetite.
11 after 7 o'clock. That is how they are standing at this point in time.
Yes.
But not bad. I mean, it's actually allowing quite a number of people to start making, those good purchases in terms of their property and the like.
One thing I can say is that, based on these percentages, I think you guys should realize that it's wise to go to these different banks to get different quotations. Because your personal bank might actually be giving you a lower percentage compared to another bank. What you could do is that you can go to the other bank, and if they're offering something better, you can take the same quotation to your bank. Obviously, your bank doesn't want to lose you as a client.
Correct.
That's when they'll try and negotiate with you.
Correct. Let's take a quick short break. It's 12 minutes after 7 o'clock. We're now going to speak to Siviwe Kwarube. Siviwe is the shadow Minister of Health from the DA in Parliament to speak to us about the vaccine that we've heard so much about in our period. We'll be speaking to her just on the flip side of this.
Black people, you must learn how to speak the language properly, especially Unabanyana. Miririki 700, makeup mascara 300, so it's 1,000. And then you guys look so beautiful, but your English is not as beautiful as your looks. And then you put in public places. Also, when you trauma. When we punch it back in to why go to police station to stop order?
The best. Tshwane FM 93.6.
Some of the changes, they don't need your qualification. They have nothing to do with your education, Vujisha. Vujisha. Boy, since it was 1909, 1910, long before I was born, Saulo, 1916, Vujisha. Oleseala. 1928. Oleseala. Mandela Mamutara Evamoya. Saulo. Oleseala. Malibele 2015. Bachabale Yobela by Hama. Raba Saulo.
The best. Tshwane FM 93.6.
And one thing I've realized, if a Zulu guy has to explain to you, he will make sure that you understand every line. But he wants you to read between the lines. He doesn't care whether you understand or not.
Oh, okay.
Because if a Zulu guy was beating someone, tell her ngambamba kanje ngamhlanganisa nodongo ngamshaya kanje wawela phansi ngamvusa ngamhlanganisa nodongo ngamshaya kanje
Take your money.
balamulo makhi kanti-ke ngibhizi ngaye kahle
Siviwe, hi. How are you? I'm great. Tshwane FM.
The best.
Are you ready for us?
93.6.
Yes, I did have a legal representation, but I just found out now he died over the weekend.
Oh, sorry to hear about that. But South Africa has so many lawyers to choose from. Surely you can find another one.
It's not as easy as you make it sound, Your Honor. These things, they cost money. Because when I find out, do not fit off.
So how do you suggest that we proceed?
Is it the
I was hoping that maybe they can find,
I think she mixed
you know,
up times.
some grace period in Yana.
Okay, so
So that there's a more with this.
Your Worship, delaying this case would be against the best interests of the child. Kidimetse deserves to be with his mother, and every moment we spend in this courtroom is robbing that little boy of that opportunity. Your Honor, it is my request that the court throw this case out. The plaintiff clearly had no grounds for even bringing this matter before you today.
On what grounds? Throw out on what grounds?
Mr. Mkwena.
No, on what grounds?
Mr. Mkwena.
Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine, Your Honor. It can represent, it's fine. I can't think it's a breach. I'll represent myself, it's fine.
Call us now, 010-382-4936. That's 012-382-4936.
Apologize for being a little bit temperamental earlier on. So, greetings to everyone. My name is Tshwane. Your Honor, standing before you.
It's your worship.
Your worship. Standing before you is an honorable man who is quite outstanding in the community. I mean, Manyora Kabankiti, you know, from Mamelodi, Sosha, Karanga, bang understand now. Hore, Tshwane Kima. And Your Honor, is straight. I want this is a clear violation of my character by this woman. She is obsessed.
Are
She
you okay
is
now?
possessed.
All right, don't worry, I'll keep it short. Ne?
My name.
You've got another one. It's,
So, Your Honor,
all right.
I want to go
No
and take it.
problem.
I want to put it to you, Hore. This is an abominable
No,
smear
don't worry, we'll
campaign
keep it short. Ne?
against me.
Okay.
I mean, nagana, Your Honor. Nagana. Mutu utlogela ngwana le di neighbor a tsamaye a ile go jakalla a tsamaye ile go jakalla ema pele
Mr. Mkwena.
no ema
Mr.
pele
Mkwena, that's enough.
What are you listening to?
Huh?
What are you listening to?
Huh?
What are you listening to?
Tshwane FM, you dumb dog.
Tshwane FM 93.6.
15 seconds that shocked the world.
He's answering you. Malema.
18 after 7 o'clock, Tshwane FM 93.6. I'm told the issues are resolved. They've had tea. Yeah, man, it's 18 minutes after 7 o'clock. We're officially in the hour to discuss issues around legal minds. And on the line, we're now joined by the DA Shadow Minister of Health. That is none other than Siviwe Kwarube, who's speaking to us in the line. I know that Siviwe, yesterday, they actually released a statement regarding the ineffective and expired vaccine. But I see as well, there's news reports today suggesting that the vaccine can actually still heal people. I'm not sure to what extent can that be done. But here's Siviwe, who's a member of parliament, to speak to us. Siviwe, good evening. Thank you so much for taking time to speak to us tonight.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Awesomeness. Short and sharp, we're going to just get straight to the point. And We know about the statement that you guys released yesterday, but what we want to understand at this point in time is we know that even before the vaccine came through, you guys had already started legal, planning legal action against, the sitting president, because you guys felt that he was delaying in terms of getting the vaccine to the people. But here's the vaccine that has arrived, and we've seen, so many things about it. It's expiring in April. It's ineffective, and all those things. Where do you guys stand with regards to this?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously those are two very separate things. The one is the legal action that we lodged against the president, and by extension his Minister of Health, Dr. Mkhize, is a court action that was aimed at saying that government needs to come forward with a comprehensive plan that would make public what their plans are in terms of acquiring a vaccine, where we are acquiring it from, and also how much are we paying. Because to date, we have not been able to see a consolidated report besides various press conferences here and there, where we can see exactly where all the vaccines are coming from, what the efficacy rates are, where they've been tested, how much are we paying, where's the money coming from, what is the rollout strategy. So we're saying, and we're relying on a precedent that was set during the treatment action campaign case, where we are saying that government is compelled to, at the very least, table a plan to Parliament that says, here's what we plan to do, this is how you hold us to account to our plans, here are the timeline. So that's the issue around the court case. So again, I mean, that is still not resolved, and that's something that we're still pursuing. On the one hand, the issue around the vaccines and the announcement that was made on Sunday night, we obviously note the outcomes of the trials, the clinical trials, which says that the AstraZeneca vaccine is now only 22%, and has a 22% efficacy rate against our new variant in South Africa. These are disappointing news. I mean, but obviously this is something that, that is in the scientific community that cannot be necessarily placed on government, because this is a forever changing environment. Ultimately, there's no way that we could have foreseen that we would have gotten a second variant and some vaccines would be ineffective. What we are saying, though, is that government should have done due diligence in terms of checking the expiry date around the vaccines, because now we're sitting in a crisis of vaccines that may go to waste. And what we're saying is that we need to move forward and get vaccines that have a high efficacy rate to get to our frontline workers.
I like the fact that you're also agreeing that this is quite disappointing that, a whole leadership of the country failed to actually, see that they need to check the expiry date on the vaccine. But my biggest question as well is, if really this is not the actual agreement between South Africa and the service provider that we're selling the vaccine, then why don't they return it back if really this is not what we've ordered? But what is detrimental to me and the listener at home, and this is what we want to understand, what are other political parties are going to do? But I mean, the DA is the opposition party in this regard. My biggest question is, this is taxpayers' money that is being spent on these vaccines. Now, the question is, what is it that is going to be done to make sure that what is coming in after here, the next vaccines are going to be something that is going to work solidly, and then we don't find ourselves in a similar position where we find another vaccine that has other faults. What is the DA prepared to do to ensure that we don't find ourselves in this regard again? I mean, it's really disappointing, and it's quite painful because it is the taxpayers' money after all.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, these are questions that the minister and his technical team could not answer on Sunday regarding whether or not the vaccine can be returned so that we can get another batch which does not expire in April. But there's also now studies which are ongoing on the AstraZeneca vaccine to test, because there is scientific evidence which indicates that it could immunize people from severe illness and hospitalization. So there's now ongoing, obviously, investigation as to whether or not we can still use it, regardless of its inefficacy in terms of people getting the disease in the first place. coming to the portfolio committee tomorrow, these are some of the key questions that we'll be posing to them, because obviously we need to understand what's going to happen now and how much did we pay, and whether or not, is the Serum Indian Institute going to take some kind of accountability, or is it complete negligence on our side? In terms of the other vaccines, like I said, there are other vaccines like J&J, like Pfizer and others, which have been tested on the South African variant and are showing higher efficacy rates. Now, what is important is that we need to get those vaccines and get people vaccinated quickly, because what we don't want is we don't want the virus to mutate again and give us a new variant, which will, which will nullify whatever vaccine is in the country. So that's why we need to move with speed, and that's why we are saying, in as much as we hold government to account in the blunder around the expiry dates and whatnot, we are saying that government want to work with you so we can get these vaccines into the country and vaccinate people and save lives.
Sivu, I need to be honest with you, and I don't think I'm the only person that feels this way, that as a person that works on radio, there's certain things that I'm able to preempt and really foresee them before they could happen. What I'm failing to understand, and I'm losing confidence in our health experts on two things. When we were testing the vaccines, did we not foresee a possibility of a second wave, a third wave, or even a fourth and fifth wave? Shouldn't that be what our experts are able to do? I think viruses are not something that is new. There's been, the plain flu previously. We've had TB previously, and we know that there's, variants and there's phases in these things. What I'm failing to comprehend at this point in time is why could our National Command Council, why could the experts not foresee that the second wave, the third wave, the fourth wave as well could be probably stronger than the first wave? And my biggest question as well is, if we've made this blunder now with the first wave, how confident are we that the next vaccines that are coming could actually stand if we are to be on the 10th wave, for instance?
No, absolutely. And as you know, we haven't been shy to criticize government about its slow response, particularly in getting the vaccination process started. We know that the South African government only had invested in the COVAX facility in terms of trying to ascertain and trying to obtain a vaccine. And we've long held, even in December already, to say that other countries are already securing vaccines for their countries.
Sure.
Other countries are already vaccinating people. Where are we with this process? We are hearing reports that we've missed payments to the COVAX facility. To this day, the COVAX facility that we relied on solely still hasn't given us a single vaccine. So if it wasn't pressure from civil society, media, opposition parties to say to government, you've got to look at other alternatives of getting a vaccine, we probably would not even be in this place right now. So I agree with you around the criticism. And it's a fair criticism that there's been slowness where government is concerned about procuring and getting this vaccine rollout done as quickly as possible. Where I do differ with you is that the reality is that the very nature of viruses is that they mutate. And the reason why this COVID vaccine, the COVID virus is so insidious, and many countries are still battling with it, is that it mutates. So you design a vaccine to deal with this current mutation, then it mutates again, and then that vaccine becomes null and void. So that's where I can understand that various vaccines will come and go, and the efficacy will be less here and there. Where I disagree is that government must do basics. We must check things like expiry dates. We must move with pace in terms of securing enough vaccines for our healthcare workers. It cannot be that we're in February of 2021 and we still haven't administered a single vaccine to our healthcare workers. That's an injustice. But on the issue around mutation, that is the nature of the disease.
I hear you. Thank you so much. 29 minutes after 7 o'clock. I did mention that I won't be keeping you long because I know that I'm not the only one that wants to talk to you. And I know that there's other heavy questions that that are waiting you on the other side of the phone. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Sivu.
Thank you very much.
And we hope we'll be able to get to talk to you after the meeting where the minister will be appearing before the portfolio committee.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Right. Okay, thank you.
All right, awesomeness. 30 minutes after 7 o'clock, Tshwane FM 93.6. That's exactly where we are. That is none other than the DA Shadow Minister on Health. That is Sivu Korume speaking to us at this point in time. Look, Refugee is in the house now. Refugee, just take your mic, man. She's blonde again.
Yeah, he's
yeah. What did your father say? About the birthday songs. Did he listen to the show?
Oh yeah, he did. Thank you so much, guys.
Okay. Did he hear when I was saying Tony's going to marry your sister?
No, that part I didn't make him listen to that part.
Oh, you were recording. He was not listening to the show.
No. I played it when I got home.
Okay. All right. No, it's fine.
He wasn't listening to the show. No, guys. He's a busy man.
Yeah, Kana, you said he has a girlfriend on.
Wow. Okay. Vaccine. Let's move on.
No, but there's nothing wrong if your father has a girlfriend.
No, I'm not going to entertain that discussion.
Okay, because it's a mother. Do you call what? A girl mother?
No.
A mother friend?
No.
31 after 7 o'clock, Tshwane FM 93.6. But I think it's quite exciting, and to a certain degree, it makes me wonder what kind of a country are we living in. So you procure bread that is said to expire on the 15th of this month. You get a bread that is said to be expiring within 24 or 48 hours, and you're mum about it.
But today, can I always want to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, it's fine.
I had that amazing discussion, and I'm glad she raised the fact that viruses, by its very nature, have various mutations.
Yeah.
Right. And that is an important factor that we have to take into consideration. And she said, and I appreciate the DA for once in their lives admitting that we cannot fault the government, because the government could have not foreseen that vaccine would not. And that is why every single country, if you notice, for example, let me give you a perfect example. The United States of America does not want anybody from South Africa currently getting into the country because of this mutation we have. And the reason is because they rely wholly on Pfizer. And Pfizer has been shown, our minister spoke about Pfizer. Pfizer's efficacy is very low. So that is why America does not want South Africans. In fact, most countries throughout Europe and even in Africa.
Bring them that
sanitizer.
The sanitizer.
Please sanitize your hands.
Yeah, let me sanitize. Yeah.
Most countries, even in Africa, I think I saw the other day that one, I can't remember which, was it West African country that closed their borders to South Africa because this very mutation that we have in South Africa, which is so strong and severe, is now putting everybody's work to secure a vaccine and making it futile.
It's also amazing. Suddenly, we are the West now.
Yes.
We are the West people.
And can I also say something?
Why did you decide to mutate in South Africa and not mutate in China? Where
clearly in South Africa, we are doing something wrong. Clearly, we're doing something wrong because clearly people who have it are mutating. I don't know how. I'm not an expert.
Is the
exactly. And also, I think something that is important that I think I didn't understand the dynamics of securing a vaccine, and luckily somebody in my legal circles actually had published an article previously, not to do with COVID, but ordinary vaccines, how it works. South Africa is not a first world country. And please, I'm putting it out there. This is not to say I'm defending our government, because I do strongly believe that our government has been slow in procuring vaccines for us.
Yeah.
But there are dynamics to procuring vaccines. And South Africa is a third world country. I mean, people are comparing us to America. Pfizer is produced in America. So who did they sell to first? America, because America has money. And who did they sell to next? All other European countries, because they have money. I mean, one of South Africa's well-known billionaires flew from here to Switzerland to go get a vaccine because it's been rolling out. So people also have
How did he enter the country? Because of South Africans are not allowed to enter.
There's always an exception to the rule. Always remember that in life.
Okay.
In life, you must remember there's always...
So I must have money enough.
Yeah, no. I always tell people there's an exception to the rule in life. Always. Yeah. Always.
We spent enough time on this. I think there's a big case that you are covering now.
The
Please Call Me.
The Please Call Me matter.
Yeah.
it's going back to the High Court. If you guys recall, this has to do with the man that came up with, and this case actually raises such an important factor that a lot of people don't consider. He came up with the idea, please call me, and then Vodacom for years didn't compensate him and denied that he actually came up with that idea. And obviously they used the excuse that he came up with it in the course of employment, which is a very important thing that I think people need to think about, but I'll get to that just now. So we all know how he went through the court processes and eventually went to the Constitutional Court, and they said Vodacom must pay him compensation, but the court cannot set the amount. So they must all negotiate and sit together and come together and say, this is how much it is. Vodacom has subsequently come to him to say, we are offering you 56 million rand. And he says he wants 10 billion rand.
Sure.
Vodacom is saying they're basing it on the financial statements, obviously looking at the profit margins at the time throughout that period. And he's saying there is no way that it's 48 million rand. Yes, 48 million rand. It's clearly over 10 billion rand.
Sure.
But now the problem is he has to use financial statements that go as far back as 5 years, more than 5 years. And companies only have an obligation to keep financial statements for 5 years. After that, they can destroy them. So Vodacom is now trying to use that excuse to say, but we don't have all our financial statements from years ago because we don't have the obligation to keep them. So now the question is, it will be an interesting case to see what the actual amount is. But honestly, I just think 48 million is not sufficient. If Vodacom was saying 1 billion, I'd be like, okay, Nyana, you're Zami.
Yeah.
But 48 million rand, please call me, guys.
So wait, he's saying 10 billion.
He's saying 10 billion.
Sure.
And they're saying 48 million.
He has a plan, eh?
Yeah, no. That man is he's rich.
He's already wealthy.
Yeah, he's already wealthy. That's not even
because even the 56 million, man. Look, I'm saying
the 48 million is still a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm saying on the 48 million, if he can on 1 million, and keep the 47 million on 1 million, and just take out your 10,000 or 100,000 and just give it to us.
He's got legal fees to pay.
How much do they think?
I was telling somebody earlier, I think he probably signed a contingency fee agreement. A contingency fee agreement is when you say, I don't have money to fight to pay you now as my attorney.
Yeah.
And then the attorney will say, and then you will tell the attorney, but based on the merit of my case, I'm pretty certain I'm going to win.
Yeah.
So you will then get 25% of whatever I get as compensation. But it's still nothing. If he's going to get 10 billion, what's 25% of 10 billion?
Yeah?
Yeah.
How much is 10% of 10 billion?
Isn't it 1 million?
It can't be
100 million?
Because look, 10%.
10 million?
10% would be...
Isn't it?
In 10 billion, 10% would be how much?
Guys, I'm not good with maths, okay? That's why I became a lawyer.
Yeah, just check there. But it should be...
Yeah, but guys, listen.
25%.
You got the best legal help. You didn't have the... Let me tell you.
Let's look at it this way.
Yeah.
In 10 billion, 50% would be 5 billion, right? So this guy will get 2.5 billion. Yes, yo.
Guys, lawyers make money. I just want to put out there, but anyways.
I know.
Also, you guys must think
dye your
about...
hair.
Well, thanks. Anyways, I have money, yes. Guys,
I know you
give
do.
me money. Whoever's listening, money. But the point I'm trying to make is
you need a man.
What?
Mzala man.
Guys, hi to my boyfriend in Netherlands who's experiencing snow right now, and I'm going to play him this video when I get home. Hey, thanks.
Interesting.
So I was saying, you think about it. He probably didn't have money to. It costs a lot. He probably thought to himself, listen, and I want the best legal advice. I want the best attorneys on my matter. I want the best advocates on my matter. I'm gonna pay them on a contingency basis because if you are to think, I think it's probably spent over 5 million on legal fees because this man has been fighting for years. So it's probably guys, lawyers are expensive. That's one thing I can.
And if it's 5 million and he's going to lose the case, Kormas is now going to be just on for the.
And you must remember contingency fees. They don't. Lawyers usually don't take matters on a contingency basis if they can see that you don't have any merits to win.
Yeah.
So if they know that you're going to win, and obviously it pushes them to work harder because they know that they're going to make money. So,
they might retire as well.
Yeah.
If I'm a lawyer and I get 2.5 billion.
Yeah.
Highway, nah.
Yeah. But
look, I'm going to fly to that place and get a vaccine myself.
Yeah. Or he could have even negotiated down. The max is 25%.
Oh,
so these lawyers, he could have probably said 5%, 10%, 15%. The max is you cannot go beyond 25% as per the Law Society's rules.
Interesting.
Yeah.
39 after 7 o'clock, and that's exactly where we are. Here's another big story. The Gauteng Health Department has noticed an increase in the number of trauma cases at hospitals since the alcohol ban was lifted in February. On the 1st of February, hospitals had around 180 trauma cases, which escalated steadily over the week to more than 500 at the weekend. Patients were being treated after being involved in car crashes. The department noted that suicides had increased as well, and the department's acting DDG for hospitals services, Freddy Khongwana, said that alcohol had a direct impact on these figures. He did mention that alcohol is intimately related to trauma in their environment, in their institutions, and those trauma cases, obviously, they come to them because it is their key role to provide health care to the communities that they serve, he indicated. But yeah, I think that's something that is worrisome as well. And also, ESCOM says it will implement stage 2 load shedding from Tuesday evening at 10 p.m. to Wednesday morning at about 5 a.m. So we should anticipate that. In news that are still making headlines, Home Affairs Minister Aaron Motsoaledi said that he would be briefing ministers in the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security cluster this week on a draft policy that would allow for independent candidates to stand in national and provincial elections. The Concord ruled in June last year that the Electoral Act was unconstitutional insofar as it only allowed for the election of members of parliament and provincial legislatures through political parties. So it means that we can have someone from Tshwane FM.
Running for president.
We're going to have you running there.
Yeah.
It gave Parliament 24 months until June 2022 to fix the defects in this act. Motsoaledi has told Parliament's Home Affairs Committee that a number of other acts will also need to be amended. Interesting. An East London bar and restaurant owner has been arrested and fined for flouting COVID-19 regulations. A video of the gathering has since gone viral on social media. It shows revelers dancing in close proximity in the overcrowded venue, and only one person can be seen wearing a mask. When authorities arrived at Bacanias yesterday, the owner denied all claims. He had already deleted all camera footage, and the Buffalo City Municipality's Samkelo Ngwenya said this served as an admission of guilt. And he did mention that he paid the fine for breaching the venue's capacity. Although the criminal matter is now concluded, the municipality is still exploring other methods of taking action. The Gavi Vaccine Alliance has stressed the importance of being able to adjust to the coronavirus evolution. And the global health body said the AstraZeneca vaccine could still prevent severe diseases, hospitalizations, and death, even though its efficacy to immunize against the second strain in South Africa was much lower. The whole strategic advisory group of experts on immunization has met to review the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and to discuss, among others, the new developments. An initial stage meeting on the matter produced a positive view for the continuation of the AstraZeneca vaccine rollout, including in settings where variants are circulating. In other news, a Nigerian criminal gang leader behind the kidnapping of hundreds of school children in northwestern Katsina State in December has surrendered to authorities in an amnesty deal, officials indicated in a statement today. Aulwana Dadua led dozens of gunmen who snatched students from their school hostels in the town of Kankara in a crime that sparked global outrage and highlighted growing instability in the country's northwest. The abductions happened when President Muhammadu Buhari was visiting his home state of Katsina, and some students managed to escape. An official said around 340 were freed days later after negotiations. Dauda surrendered to local officials yesterday with 6 of his gang members, and the local government spokesperson said that in a statement. Amazing. There's still people who do these things. In other news, internationally, Spain today extended a ban on arrivals by air from Britain, Brazil, and South Africa until March the 2nd over the new virus variants detected in those nations. Only legal residents or nationals of Spain and the neighboring microstate of Andorra are currently allowed in on flights from these countries. The restrictions on arrivals from Britain was imposed at the end of December, while the ban on arrivals from Brazil and South Africa came into effect on February 3rd. Spain's cabinet agreed today to extend these entry restrictions for another 2 weeks. Health Minister Carolina Darias told a news conference. Tshwane, this is where we leave it today. It's 44 minutes after 7 o'clock. Great music will be coming through your ears. Otherwise, I'm back tomorrow, same time, same place. as we discuss other issues. Am I correct?
Yep.
Closing arguments, colleagues?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think for now.
And sanitize and wear your mask.
Yeah.
Please. Like I see people walking around without their mask, guys. It doesn't mean just because you guys have access to alcohol and there's relaxation of certain regulations doesn't mean you can walk around without your mask. Please.
Yeah, and they must stop drinking. Have you stopped drinking?
I don't drink alcohol. I drink tea and hot chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah, and non-alcoholic beverages.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So please sanitize and wear your mask.
Okay. All right. We'll do that. And since you stopped drinking alcohol.
He goes back to his mother. Do you understand? Court is adjourned until Wednesday, 10 a.m.
FM 93.6. Your station. Your music.
No, there will be a direct foreign investment in South Africa because direct foreign investment, it depends on the stability of the country. It depends on the. How do you reassure the foreign investment? No, you must give me a chance to speak unless you want to have this interview with yourself. Then we can give you a chance to speak alone. Okay. Because you're asking me questions, I'm responding to them, and that's the orientation of this conversation. We are going to ensure that we take control of our own economy.
Honorable Malema, I have yet to rule on this motion.
Yeah, but you gave him an opportunity to speak before you even ruled on Godrich. Because the procedure is such that you must rule on Godrich before you give him. You broke your own rules, so allow me to proceed. Proceed? Yes. Thank you very much, Chairperson of the NCOP. Sitting in front of us here, it's a man who
are you on a point of order?
An incorrigible man, rotten to the core. And that has been found by the Constitutional Court. And this story that
Honorable Malema,
majority to keep him, it doesn't make him.
Honorable Malema, that is not a point of order.
But listen to me. Listen to me.
It's not a point of order.
But listen to me, Chairperson of the NCO.
Yes, but that is not a point of order. You want a point of order.
What was Texan's point? What was Texan's point? What was Texan's point?
Can I rule?
No, but let me speak. What was Texan's point? We're all equal here. We're all equal here. Jackson did not rise on any point in the rules. I'm following in what he did. So I'm saying the fact that majority voted against the Constitutional Court decision, it doesn't make the majority right. You voted against the Nkanga report, which was declared by the Constitutional Court that you were in breach of the Constitution by voting against the Nkanga report. You are repeating the same mistake. Mr. Zuma has collapsed his own right to address us here.
Can you allow us to rule on the matter?
441 soldiers will never protect you. Point of order. Your problem is not outside. Point of order. Your problem is here. There is no soldier here. Here we're here. You want soldiers to be not soldiers from a political party. Inside here they will never come to him.
5.
Honorable Malema, I don't think you are going to raise anything that is not covered by what I have said.
You are making a mistake because you are reading my mind.
Honorable Malema. Honorable Malema.
Please, Speaker, can I speak? Because
on what?
On the same points that members are raising, you are not doing me any favor, and none of these people who are howling are doing me any favor. It is within my right to speak as a member of this house and remind you that it is incorrect of you to want to suggest that when the president speaks, you suspend the rules. The rules are not suspended, and the rules must apply even when the president speaks. And you have not answered the question of Dr. Bauda. Stop treating people as a group, treat them as individual members of this house and respond to them as individual members. The individual member that spoke you explain, he sat down. The other one spoke, you explain, he sat down. When Vauda's turn comes, you say, I've responded to you, and you are insisting, and you are speaking for the first time. Stop treating people as a group. We're speaking as individual members. We want the president to answer a simple question. When is he paying the money by the public protector? That's all we're asking. Six.
Will you?
What are you listening to? Huh? What are you listening to? Huh? What are you listening to?
Tshwane FM, you don't go.
Tshwane FM 93.6.